What's up, Fantasy League enjoys another tournament in the books as Challenger Katowice comes to an end. And we did bounce back. We got a top 12% after a bit of a shaky one beforehand, so we're straight back into solid ways. I'm very happy with this. It could have been even better. I know it's often the case. I mean, Eternal Fire, they had a really rough one of it, honestly. I didn't expect them to just kind of take losses so early on and get eliminated so early on. But because I picked Xantares, who was really firing on all cylinders, even if Eternal Fire weren't, kind of saved me a bit. And then Pain losing to Bait was a real big surprise. I thought they'd go through to the finals. I thought they'd go ahead and just win the whole thing. If they had, I probably would have been in top sort of 3, top 2%, because going into the last day, you can see here I was top 8%, top 3% after group stage round 3. So I was feeling really good about things. And then obviously Pain lost, and that kind of, it threw away that top 5 sort of dream. But I'm still very happy with top 12%. Happily take that. But next up is the Blast Premier World Finals. And it's going to be another super stacked tournament, and quite a difficult one, really, because although there's a couple of teams that you can make arguments are a little bit on the weaker side here, and we'll get into that in a moment, it is so stacked with top tier teams. So you got Na'Vi, Astralis, Mouse, and FaZe in Group A, and then in Group B is G2, Liquid, Vitality, and finally Spirit. Just so many good teams, and really going through this, there is a lower finals, so the teams get more than one shot at making something happen, but you have to take into account that it's still going to be a pretty ruthless system here. So if you pick the wrong players, you can easily find yourself in minus points, and you're going to crash and burn really quick. So I'm looking here at which team I think has one of the easier starts, one of the easier kind of opening matchups, and I'd probably lean towards Na'Vi. It's not that I think Astralis are necessarily useless, but I look at this team right now and it just doesn't fill me with confidence, because I thought when Cadian came in, it was a bit of a head-scratcher decision. I really rate Cadian very highly. There's not much sample size for Astralis, you have to grant that as well, and there's now been more time to see if this team can gel together. Obviously, they're really put in the spotlight after there was some, let's say, unsavory thoughts about them basically putting Cadian in the last Blast tournament. There was a lot of kind of uproar about this. Did we get the best Astralis there? Absolutely not. But Cadian was literally just into the team before that event started. So I don't want to judge them too harshly, but they're up against Na'Vi, who for me are the rock-solid #1 team in the world. They are super consistent. They don't have any like crazy star players like a m0NESY or a ZywOo. But they have, or a Donk, but they have like super consistent spine in this team. And even Alexi's starting to up his sort of individual performances. So I look at Na'Vi here and I think it's not necessarily a slam dunk guarantee, but I feel pretty good about them beating Astralis. When you look at Mouse and FaZe, I think Mouse have proved in the last tournament that we saw them in that they are definitely a team that is not down and out. They're not dead and buried. It's not, they don't play in a tournament, everyone forgets about them. That's because they're bad. They're definitely not. Yes, a lot of their individual performances have dropped quite a bit when you're looking at Exertion, Jimmy in particular. But I still think that this is going to be a tough game for FaZe. FaZe are in a bit of a crucial position right now. I think Pimp came out on Twitter and said, basically, or it was an interview that he'd done that was posted on Twitter, where he said that if they don't start to make it to the finals and start to win some tournaments and do well in events, then there may be a roster change on the horizon. And I can't really disagree with him. I think this FaZe team has been languishing away a little bit. At the start of CS2, they were complete beasts. They were totally on point. Every single, finals, every single semi-finals they were going far in. Whereas now it feels like they've just petered off a little bit. And that's not necessarily going to be something that they can continue to do and get away with long term. If they're a team that really wants to challenge and be sort of at the very top of the pack, then that has to change. And maybe this major coming up is going to be their opportunity to do that. We'll have to wait and see. But I think I would slightly go with Mouse in this encounter. I think Mouse probably will win this game. It's a bit more of a coin flip for me than Na'Vi and Astralis. G2 and Liquid is another very, very close matchup when you look at these two teams. I think that Liquid have dropped off a tad since Twists had his opening really solid, outcomes when he was joining as the IGL. Ultimate has been very impressive to me, though, on this team. Yakindar's picked up his performance a little bit, but he's still lagging a little bit behind. You can see down here. So probably edging with G2 on that one, assuming that G2 win that game. And then Vitality and Spirit, normally I'd say Vitality have my kind of backing on this one, but they have Jax in. Jax is here instead of Mezzy. Now, is Apex able to get the best out of Jax? Is this going to be Jax basically in the shop window showing us what he can do and really making a play to get back at the very top level again? It's possible. He won't have many better opportunities than this. I don't want to say like Vitality have no hope, because when you have ZywOo and Spinks on the team, I think you've always got hope. But I do feel like this is one of Spirit's best opportunities to play against Vitality right now when they are a little bit on the weaker side. You can argue all you want about Mezzy versus Jax in terms of individual performances and all those kinds of things, but you are effectively bringing in a substitute player for this matchup and for this tournament, and I don't know how it's going to work out, so I'd probably slightly go with Spirit in that one. But as you can see, it's so stacked. It's so stacked. But for those reasons that I've just highlighted, I have gone with this team. I have spread it around just a little bit, but I have backed Spirit and I've backed Na'Vi. Na'Vi, because, as I said, I think the Astralis matchup is one of the easier ones, if I can say that, for the opening matchups, and it's Na'Vi, and they've been so damn good as of late. Like, Ema has been fantastic, very impressive. He's also super clutch. If they go through to sort of like the upper finals, I expect him to perform there. Alexi's upped his own individual performance, but also I'll show you here in terms of the prices. His price has gone up. You know, he was around the mid 180s not that long ago, kind of pushing into the top 180s. Now he's 194. That is expensive, but I wanted 2 Na'Vi players in, and as you can see, if you don't go for Alexi, you're looking at 215 to 220-ish for the rest of the players, so it's the only way I could get 2 of them in. So I've gone for Alexi as well, because I feel like I've got a lot of confidence in them going the distance here and qualifying through. And then Spirit, purely off the basis that I think Vitality now, with Jax coming in, they can get the job done. But you're looking at a lot of coin flips in this, right? Like, you can't stack 5 Na'Vi players. You have to go for other teams. And I was just looking across and I thought, you know, I think this is maybe Spirit's time to bounce back up again, especially as Chopper was 181k. I fully understand it. He's had a big drop off individually, and Spirit haven't quite been slapping as hard as they were, you know, 3, 4, 5 months ago. So it's understandable. And then we had 191k left. And I thought Hunter for 191k feels like a bargain to me. That feels like a bit of a steal. G2 up against Liquid first. I think G2 can win that game for sure. I think G2 could go the distance, and they could go for a straight up. They could even win their group, you know. So I wanted to go for one G2 player. And when I saw Hunter's price, I'm like, yes, please. I don't expect him to be top fragging for G2. I don't even expect him to be sort of in 2nd or 3rd place. But if G2 do well and he has a couple of good maps, 191k is a fantastic turnaround. So if Na'Vi and Spirit make it through, Hunter gets a little bit here and there, I'll be in good shape. It can all come apart, though, of course. I think the dependable team here, though, the team I'm looking at and thinking, right, I feel pretty comfortable picking those, are the Na'Vi boys, because I've backed them many times in the past, and they always seem to deliver, even when they lose. Even if they go out in sort of like the quarters or the semi-finals, typically you're still going to get some positive points from them. So it's a tough one. It really is. If Vitality cruise through and smash Spirit, then I think my team is kind of in a little bit of shambles. I think a lot of people's teams will be as well. Be very curious if people actually believe in Vitality with Jax coming in. Maybe he is the ace up the sleeve. Maybe we're going to have another honeymoon phase. You know, we saw G2 do this, obviously, with Stewie2k back at Dallas. Maybe this is going to be a similar story for Vitality, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Hopefully we do well.